the Department of Education announced that they are going to resume collection efforts on defaulted federal student loans. And they're going to start sending out those notices this week. So what that means for you, let's say you are someone and you receive your benefits through the Social Security Administration. If you have a defaulted federal student loan, the Department of Education can offset those as well. Now, the Department of Education, they cannot offset SSI benefits, but if you receive SSDI benefits, they can absolutely offset those. But it's important. If you receive Social Security benefits, is that you are getting ahead of this default. And one way that you can do that is to apply for total and permanent disability discharge. Some of you qualify for that, and you may not even be aware that you qualify. Even if you are someone and you receive SSI benefits where the Department of Education, they cannot offset those, you still want to make sure if you have defaulted federal student loans that you are taking care of that, because even though they may not be able to take the benefits, what still is happening is that defaulted federal student loan is still harming you because it's reporting to the credit reporting agencies, meaning that you are limiting your access to any credit that you may need in the future. But let's talk about the total and permanent disability discharge program and how it can help you if you are someone that is receiving benefits through the Social Security Administration. So in order to access the total and permanent disability discharge application, you just go to the student aid website. Once you've wanted loan forgiveness, that is where you'll start to see all the information for the different forgiveness programs. And we want total and permanent disability. When you scroll down to page 4, and this is actually the PDF version of the application, you can download this as well, so that way you can read through the application in its entirety. What's important is to read the instructions and what the application states that you need to have in order for you to be able to submit the application. And we're going to go down to number 2 because we're not a veteran, which is what number 1 speaks about. Number 2. Are you currently receiving SSDI or SSI benefits or SSA retirement benefits? And does your most recent SSA notice of award, SSA benefits planning query, or other documentation show that you meet one of the requirements A through E listed above? And that's important because some think that you have to meet every single one of these type of requirements in order for you to apply. You just need to meet one. First one says you qualify for SSDI or SSI based on a disability, and your next scheduled disability review is between 5 and 7 years from the date of your last SSA disability determination. And you can determine that information is on that notice of award or on your benefits planning query if you have a next scheduled disability review date. If you don't, okay, A doesn't apply to you. B, you qualify for SSDI or SSI based on disability, and your next continuing disability review has been scheduled at 3 years. If that is you, okay. If not, B doesn't apply to you because not everyone who receives SSI benefits has a scheduled disability review. So if those two don't apply, we keep going because we only need one. C, you have an established onset date for SSDI or SSI of at least 5 years before the date of your application for TPD discharge. We stop there because we have a comma and then we see the word or. So we know we have an option in letter C. So let's say you have an established onset date for your benefits, SSDI or SSI, of at least 5 years before the date of your application. And you can tell with that when SSI deems you to be disabled by looking at the notice of award. Or you have been receiving SSDI or SSI based on your disability for at least 5 years before the date of your application for TPD discharge. So we have 2 options here in C. Either one, you have an established onset date. Your disability was determined to be at least 5 years prior to your application being submitted, or you have been receiving your benefits for at least 5 years before you submitted this application. Okay. D, you qualify for SSDI or SSI based on a compassionate allowance, or you are currently receiving SSA retirement benefits, and before you qualify for SSA retirement benefits, you met one of the requirements described in paragraph A through D above. So we have a lot of options here when it comes to receiving benefits through the Social Security Administration, and you just have to determine which one, just one, applies to you, and that way you're able to submit the application. Now, mind you, there's other ways that you can qualify, but if you're receiving benefits, one thing with the Department of Education and the Social Security Administration, with the matching program that they have in place, it doesn't always match. So for some of you, if you have a defaulted federal student loan, you don't want to continue to wait. And if you're waiting for the Department of Education and the SSI or SSA system to catch up, you could potentially be putting yourself in even further harm. So you can go look at this application. If you need assistance with submitting the application, I can also assist you with that. You can schedule directly with me on my website, and that's just my name, Tammy, A1 Consulting LLC.com, and I'd be happy to assist.